welcome to our quick whistle stop tour through the Dynamics 365 Q1 roadmap specifically for the unified operations today. So just to start walking through, I'm Chris Tilley. If you've been on these before, you'll probably have seen me, an enterprise architect here at HSO, and ably assisted by Debbie, who has been running these for quite some time. So as Debbie said, you'll be able to get access to the recordings of these afterwards. I will just pop off camera now and I've introduced myself. So what are we going to look at today? First off, a little bit of a whistle stop on where to find information. There's lots of good information out there and it's presented well. And then we'll have a look at both supply chain management, finance and commerce, what I think is kind of the things to call out. Now, I should say that because these are brand new release plans, unfortunately, I have not able to get demos of them. But we are very keen to bring you demos of the elements and programs you're interested in. So if you contact either myself or Debbie and request specifics, we can certainly get demo environments up and configured to show some of these key features that are coming out. So first off, where to find information. Hopefully you've all found these release plans. If not, here's the link. We'll circulate the links afterwards. They are not just presented in this kind of HTML web page format, they're also in a kind of nice discoverable release plan type format, which I'll just show you briefly now. Yeah, so this is the release page that you should be familiar with. It's got the list of everything in Dynamics here, so not just the unified operations, we've got sales and all of the service elements as well. And you can drop in here and find out what's new and planned, all the information, and there's detailed on each. As you can see, there's some have got images and things for you to look through. Others are just simply lists of text explaining what they're going to bring for you. A slightly more useful version is in this experience side. So if you go to experience.microsoft.com or experience.dynamics.com, apologies, you'll be able to also see the ideas page where you can submit ideas for features you like to see and various other things. And you can also get a link here. So one of the things I like about this is you can sign in and start adding. These are grayed out for me because I'm just in a guest login, but you can start adding features that are useful to yourself. So as you look through these, maybe you'll find that this archive tracks transactions is very useful to you. Add that to your release plans, and then your release plans here will start to build up with the things you're interested in. And then as you'll be able to see, as these potentially the general availability changes or the public preview date changes, you'll be able to see those update. And from each one, there should be, useful information for you to dip through to. Just to give one example, I'm not actually talking about the OCR today, but those of you who have joined these before will have seen that we ran through and in fact demoed the OCR functionality. And I believe in here we have an enhancement. Never mind, I can't see it, but in here somewhere there is an update to the OCR, which now allows you to bring your own OCR model. So whereas before it was just a model that came out of the box, OCR being optical character recognition to allow you to import invoices touchless, you can now bring your own model to allow you to train that model. So that's just an interesting thing to be aware of. Also, I wanted to point out the Microsoft Learn. A lot of people seem to still be unaware of this, so I've happened to zoom in on the Dynamics aspect of Microsoft Learn, but this is all free. And within here, you can find what you're interested in, the things you'd like to learn. Maybe I'm looking at commerce and I'm a beginner. What's available for me? Let me get started with commerce. And within here, there's nicely structured courses for you to go through of various levels of difficulty. One thing, note the key dates. So as I said, we're not able to do too many demos today because the general availability starts on April the 1st, and then Microsoft will phase these releases out through the regular service updates, and then around October time we should get wave 2, and we'll come back and explain those to you then. And also be aware of the launch event. This URL isn't very memorable. I'm not quite sure what all that stands for, but if you just go to Microsoft.com Dynamics and tick this banner, you'll be able to get yourself to the launch event, which is on April the 10th. And that is around 9 to 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, which is 7 hours behind UTC. So sometime in the evening for us. So definitely worth getting to that. And you'll see demos and you'll see the Microsoft leadership view of what's coming with Dynamics. And one just word of caution, release regions. So the efficient and accurate demand planning with Copilot sounds absolutely great. Public preview in 2024 April. So that's in a couple of days, hopefully. The feature is this: demand planners work with data, accurate forecasts, very, very useful stuff. But unfortunately, if you scroll down, you'll see the first feature release is the United States. So if you're not using that as your geographic area, you're stuck until they release it further. So just be aware of that, because it can be frustrating if you're trying to get your environments up to date and you know that this thing's been released. Well, actually, you find it hasn't been released for you yet. So just scroll right to the bottom of the page and you'll find out if there's a geographical restriction to getting access to that functionality. So supply chain management first. The key areas are kind of Copilot. As you've probably seen, Microsoft are going very big on Copilot this year. In fact, I'm sure that the launch event will primarily talk about Copilot. We've got sessions. I think we've run a couple of sessions and we've got some coming up on Copilot. So I'm not going to dive too deep into that because we've got some specific sections because it's such a big area now. But there's improvements in inventory planning and some procurement approvals. So just a quick look at the demand planning. This is an application which happens to be a Power App that Microsoft have built and released for us. It's relatively new and it's been updated all the time. So it's adding some Copilot around these forecasts, some in-product guidance and some insights on what's actually going on with my forecast. So you can ask it questions in natural language like, where is my highest demand? Is one of my product categories more at risk of sellout? Or anomalies could be like, did any products underperform or overperform, or were there spikes? And you be able to type that and ask the data for that, and Microsoft Copilot will come back and give you answers or attempt to give you answers in sensible English. So just to give you an example of this demand forecasting graph, you can see these are split. Some of them are demand forecasting, some are price forecasting, some are revenue projections. And you can add time series. And this example, they're adding a beer festival promotion. So the description is it's an estimation of what additional quantity is going to be sold. And based on all of the metrics and the data available, it's put me another track on here, and it allows you to start doing some demand planning on what's going to happen. And then from there, you can start to generate automatic orders with planning optimization, generate production orders or transfer orders, purchase orders to keep up with that demand and make sure you're not left in a stock out situation when demand is highest. So intelligent demand planning is basically pretty new. So all of these elements are going to be brought in. It's a huge area, and I think I was talking to Debbie about this. We'll probably do a session specifically on the demand planning application once we've got it up and running and we can demonstrate it to you. So things like new products. I'm not going to list all of these, but you can easily plan for the launch of new products, phase out of old ones, what's going to happen with our demand forecasts, see what the system thinks will happen if you introduce these things without having to crunch the numbers yourself. Time fence control might be things like, I can't change my forecast in this region. Maybe we're going through a 5-year planning. I don't want my forecast to change because I'm basing my 5-year plan off this. So I want stability and consistency. So at this point, from April 1st to April 30th, no changes can be made. Rolling plans, update them continuously. You can have longer time horizons to make sure you're keeping up with your demand and supply, and all sorts of useful elements to enable the usage of it, like a planner workspace with Power BI and ability to ingest data with Excel for forecasting and import and export with your time series data directly with Excel. So a really powerful tool. We'll come back to you with more and more useful elements of it as we go forward. So the planning improvements, again, I'm not going to list all of these, but just in one release, these are all of the elements that are coming out just for the business planning, the demand planning, element. So there's a huge amount coming out, and I really encourage you to go and look at the business planning suite and the demand planning suite of tools to help with your business planning. One of the elements which is quite nice and quite targeted, the business planning suite is quite an overall, a large piece to get your head around, but this is just a simple Copilot driven tool which is allowing you to react better to purchase order changes. It's always been a bit of a problem in the system when your purchase orders might change. Maybe a purchase order is not going to arrive, or they're going to under deliver, something like that. So without you having to go and trawl through all of your sales orders, you can find out what the impact is. So it's going to provide the purchasing agents with more of a conversational experience to help them make better purchasing decisions in light of the fresh information or changes on your purchase orders. So you can focus on the relevant the relevant problems. So you can see here there's no low impact changes. Apologies if the writing's a bit blurred there. Some high impact changes, 5 changed orders with a total of, I think that's 36 change lines. Some are delivery delayed, but it's telling you, rather than you go and interpret the data yourself, it's saying, you know, I've got 39 purchase orders, and that's expected to impact 2 demand forecasts. So you can see how the Copilot here is helping you. And then it's giving you suggested actions. So find me some similar available items. Can I satisfy that demand with something else? Can I find another vendor? Can I split a delivery schedule? So rather than just present you with the data, it's presenting you with some possible actions, and it's interpreting it for you as well. So this next one's about quality management, and it's a bit of a call to action for you as well. So if you've got elements within your Dynamics, and most Microsoft apps, actually, there's areas like this, but the Dynamics 365 application ideas, you can see a chap called Richard Blanc, I think is from Switzerland. He has requested that the transfer orders managed in a landed cost generate quality orders. It seems quite a reasonable request, but it wasn't available before. And you can see that the product management of Microsoft, all right, there's been a couple of years delay, but it's now been released. So what we can see from that is the quality orders are now recognized in goods in transit orders. So you can start initiating your quality control process for goods in transit, which is something you'd expect to be there. And it's now been added to the landed cost module. So you can process all of these directly from the goods in transit order form within the landed cost module. So that shows somebody feeding back to Microsoft that they felt that there was a gap in the product, and rather partners like HSO having to fill it, Microsoft have filled it themselves and gone back and closed that loop to say, yeah, we've done that. Thanks for your suggestion. So just if you have any problems, if you have any gaps, of course, talk to us about them, but also log them on that portal and tell all your friends to go and vote, because I don't know if you can see, they'll just pop back. You can vote on these. So if you log in on this area, and this is via experience.dynamics.com as well, you can go and vote on anything you think is necessary. So a few highlights, general SCM and inventory management. If you're selling product bundles, multiple items grouped so they can be sold together and priced together, this is a useful feature, but you used to find if the sales order was gone, either deleted or archived, you can now reprint the original sales order confirmation and invoice, because the product bundles are now represented in journals. So that sounds like a small thing, but that's actually very useful. So anything that references product bundles can be properly reprinted, copied, and you can see what made that up. Discrete manufacturing costing. So for those of you who are not aware, the global inventory accounting system allows you to maintain effectively like 2 accounting standards across your inventory. If you're working across multiple regions, multiple geos, and you need to recognize your stock in different ways, the global inventory account adding allows you to do that. And now you're able to do that across related business documents, sub-production orders, and there's some enhanced Power BI report creation. So you can get your discrete manufacturing costing a lot more accurate, and then build reports off that if you need to. Inventory visibility. This is the microservice which allows you to kind of have a one-stop shop to highlight what your inventory is now and what it's projected to be. Very useful things like third-party websites, what stock have I got, what can I have? So now this is allowing you to make those queries without actually having to specify a site and warehouse. Now that seems, why wouldn't I want to, but in e-commerce transactions, you probably don't really care where things are from a website point of view. You just care if you've got it, and you'll worry about fulfilling it afterwards. So you can make these queries without having to specify the site and the warehouse now. So a good enhancement to inventory. Also, the inventory updates, you usually want to synchronize those between multiple systems. So you might have a third-party system that needs to have full inventory updates. So things like create order, create journal records, and aggregate data. Inventory visibility now provides out-of-the-box functionality that supports all those operations. So it will minimize the implementation effort. So the resulting solution allows you to trace your inventory transactions back to the original source document, because originally, I could post changes to the inventory visibility. I could deprecate stock, I could soft reserve things, but I couldn't actually say my source document is sales order XYZ. That wasn't there, so I wasn't able to trace why the inventory has changed, and now we can. And a small one, again, sounds like a small one, but there's now approval of purchase orders and purchase requisitions from the mobile app. So each user is going to get a little interface seeing their approval tasks, details for each purchase requisition and purchase order, and they can do the standard workflow: approve, reject, request change, delegate from their mobile device. So as soon as that's out, we'll get a little demo up and running, because that's a really good enhancement, rather than have people have to log into Dynamics, or you can do it all from walking. The planning is now added capable to promise in real time. So what CTP does is it explodes all the components, your purchases, your transfers, and your capacities needed to manufacture a specific item. You can now run that for any sales order line. So that will enable you to tell customers the dates on which they can receive their orders in real time while they're on the phone. You can check how changes to a product would affect that promised delivery date. Maybe you're changing the color, you're changing the design, or some other option. And you can check how any change in quantity would affect the delivery date as well. So say somebody's expecting something on the 6th and they say, well, I need to double that order. You can go and check what happens if I change that sales line to be 20 instead of 10. And you can see, yes, we can still promise that. So this is just an example of some of the demand planning. The elements you can see, the graphs. We will, again, this is a good area for us to start getting deeper into demand planning to show you. So I think this is on our list to get a good demo up and running. So within finance, the business performance suite is going to go generally available. The performance analytics has been there for a little while, and the goal for that is, as I've said, what happened. So what's going on in my business, all my value chains, record to report. I want to be able to build reports off what's happened, and I want to be able to do it quickly and easily, and have a nice solution to build that. And Microsoft's statement is the goal is to deliver an all-encompassing view of business processes and systems in real time. So that's the what happened, and then the business performance planning is what should I do with that. So for that, we need to model the data, we need to be able to act on the data, and it's giving us a lot of the plumbing required and the application required to create the visuals, copy the actuals into our plan. It's given us a planning app, a Power App, which I showed you an image of earlier, to see exactly how this is going to affect our business performance. And again, this whole business planning and business performance suite is going to warrant a session all on its own. So we're going to set that up for you with a couple of colleagues of mine and play that back. That said, a little look at the performance analytics. So it's going to hit all of these high-level processes. As you can see, I think record to reports coming out first, but all of these are on the list. And some of the what it looks like, you can see this is another Dynamics 365 application, and this workspace allows you to kind of create new reports with data sets, ingest new data sets, use Power BI, Excel, build yourself reports that work for you, pin reports, and create workspaces. So things like accounts payable dashboards, you can make them look how you want, access these via the business analytics area, and publish these out to other colleagues, and have things like that, which is kind of obviously Power BI driven, but it allows you to kind of build your own visuals within the business performance analytics application. So very powerful, and we're just starting to scratch the surface ourselves in the EA team at HSO, and we'll come back to you with some planning examples and performance examples soon. A nice little addition to the collections. So this is the Copilot Collections Manager. Again, apologies, I've grabbed this screenshot from Microsoft, and I don't have access to this yet because it's not quite been released. But you can see that okay, I've dropped into my Forest Wholesales customer here, and rather than me make my own assessments of how the business is performing, Copilot has given me a summary. So it's saying it's got a good red credit rating. There's some natural language narrative, what their balance is, what their recent invoices were, whether they're paid on time, whether we're late, when their last payment was. So all of this just drives information and actions to your collections managers and your staff without having to kind of go and collate all that information, make decisions yourself. So it really gives you a quicker overview on how a customer is performing. So aging details, account information are really easily presented. So the magnitude of this account is easily found. You know, do I have to worry about it? Do I need to act on it? What are my successful collection rates? And just make sure your customers are staying in good standing. This, again, it's a sort of quality of life, but customer and vendor balance netting, this can save you time, it can save you money on transaction fees. So if you're a customer and a vendor, you know, why have all of that money moving backwards and forwards? You can net it off and only pay the difference or invoice the difference. So it saves you, you know, all of those transactions which are unnecessary, and you can have a netting advice summary here. So I don't know if you can see that too well, but basically I'm creating a netting. I'm going to create my netting agreements, and I'm able to balance off, you know, the open invoices against the open payments, and work like that without and then just pay the difference. Some miscellaneous finance bits, the manage petty cash features come in, really handy. Wasn't really there before. Bank reconciliation, that's being enhanced. So there's some automatic posting elements you can see, some automatic settling, which wasn't there before, and things like the receipt error handling. So in the pending vendor invoice list, it will tell you what the problem is with a given invoice, and you can analyze, find out what the problem is, and correct it all in one place rather than go you know, hop around to receipts and find out what the issue is. And then the improved bank account lifecycle is again a quality of life and a security thing. You know, you can make sure you're staying compliant. There should be a workflow, so if things are being bank accounts are being activated, changed, is there different approvers? You know, is the number changed? Is the signer master data changed? All of that is now workflows and much improved. And finally, some about the commerce. So the digital commerce, as in storefront, you know, your customer-facing websites. There's both B2C, business to customer, and business to business available now. B2B has been available for a few years and is improving all the time. So there's a site builder promotions page. So as you can see, any promotions can get collated there. You can have your shoppers browsing the promotions that are running, any discounts, and go straight to the promotion banners from the promotion page to browse those products. So that's a good addition, something you can just use out of the box. Over on the digital commerce side for B2B, you can now order for multiple organizations. So if I'm a buyer and I work for a number of companies, I can switch my organizations, as you can see here, and buy on behalf of different organizations and using the same email account, and I don't have to, all my credit limit and my addresses are populated from the organization, not from me as the buyer, and I can switch orders without signing out. So that saves a lot of time, and any orders I place as that order take, well, I'll be on as the order taker rather. So if I'm placing orders for lots of different organizations that I'm a buyer for, I will be on those. I'll be on those sales orders from the selling organization. One final update to the digital. I've not updated my title there, apologies. You can select a date and delivery method in the future now. So whereas that wasn't possible before, again, it's B2B. So I'm going to want to say, right, I want these, but I don't want them for another week or 2 weeks or a month. And I want a particular delivery method. So this is something you can now do digitally rather than having to call a selling operative. I can get those put on and I can get them registered just by using the B2B portal. So all these are out of the box and available now, which also implies if you're doing a headless commerce build, then these APIs are available as well for you to take advantage of. I have a few minutes left, so I'll race through these. So store commerce, the Adyen Tap to Pay is on the iOS app now. So if you should be using Tap to Pay. If you're using the iOS store commerce app within your stores, this is now going to be available. There's optimized point of sale payment flows, much improved, and they're consistent across all of the points of sale. My images have somehow disappeared, apologies. Archive commerce transactions is coming in. So if you have a lot of commerce transactions and you've been running it for a while, you'll note that the performance can start to degrade. So what Microsoft have done is give you an opportunity to archive off those transactions with no indexes, so that the performance is much better. You're losing a lot less space and eventually be able to archive them entirely out of the system. And finally, been requested for a while, scanning barcodes and QR codes on iOS or Android, which is a great addition. If people are wandering around the stores, they want to get a price, they want to put a sale on, you can scan those barcodes via the iOS or Android mobile app store, commerce apps within stores. And there you go, so the new point of sale flow and the commerce order transactions archiving. And there you go, a bit of a look at the batch control products. So store stock operations, you can create and receive transfer orders and such like within the point of sale. And now you can also do all those things with batch controlled products. So register and validate the batch numbers during the receipt, purchase orders or transfer orders. You can capture and validate the batch numbers during shipment. Again, transfer orders, and you can any inventory adjustments and movements or stock counts, things like that. You can also capture batch numbers there, which is essential. Just a bit of a call out, some of the sites I looked at earlier for you. Go and have a look at learnmicrosoft.com. You can get the training, you can get Copilot training. It's absolutely really key on Microsoft's roadmap, so make sure you get as much information as you can. It's all out there and being updated all the time. A reminder again, get to that launch event on the 10th of April in the evening, the UK time. And follow us on LinkedIn and follow me, and we'll keep you updated. And on April the 25th, our next one is on the Power Platforms. So thanks everyone for coming. Try and attend that next session, and I will pass back to my co-host Debbie now.